Have you ever wondered how it would be to live abroad, to live in another country? What about the culture? What about the food, the people? And more importantly, what happens with the language? What if you end up living in a country that speaks a completely different language to what you've grown used to? Does that thought scare you or does that excite you? Because if it's the latter, this video is exactly for you. Hi guys, this is Kathy from Spanish 55, and today I chose to make this video on living abroad, how learning a second language changed my life. And it's because when I was a little kid, I felt like probably getting the experience to live in a different country would be one of the most amazing things that could happen in my life. And nowadays, I also feel that getting that experience of going abroad, it's rather easy, being it for work-related reasons, academic reasons, maybe family situations, or maybe just like me, you just want to experience living in a different country for some time. So I feel that one term that's closely related to migration is homesickness. And today I decided to share with you that homesickness is something that actually happened to me. That's why I decided to make 4 steps that help me get through my homesickness process, and also what I call getting through the Paris Blue. So without further ado, let's begin with the video. So for starters, you have to know that I'm currently based in France. And probably right now it's been a little bit over 8 months since I first arrived here. So at the beginning, like most trips, it was rather exciting and a lot of fun stuff. But sooner rather than later, realization hit me as I realized that my life had taken this 180-degree turn. So it was quite shocking not being able to interact or to talk on a daily basis with the people that I was closer to. And mainly it was due to the time difference. It was also quite the cultural shock not being able to eat the food that I was used to, or also like France has a lot of this food culture that's quite different from Mexico, even though we are big foodies. And probably another point was that I arrived quite into fall already. And I get the impression that Paris, even though it's like a great big capital and it has a lot of many events and things to do, gets quite gloomy pretty quick during the winter. And yes, you have the Christmas markets whatsoever, but I was just not getting it. I was just not feeling as great as I had envisioned it in my mind. That was up until one day I sat down and I said like, okay, I remember that at the time I even did a presentation on this. My recovery plan. Number 1, focus on your goals and get immersed. So back to the point that we stated at the beginning, you can end up living in another country for a variety of different reasons. And whether you chose it or not, I believe there's always a goal. In my case, it was purely the fact that I wanted to live abroad. And honestly, improving my French was rather an extra because I already had like the B2 before arriving to France. However, I came to the conclusion that it is easy to get through this homesickness process if you start setting up like small goals, little milestones that can help you boost your self-esteem. Now, this might be easier if you moved out because of work. However, I do believe that even if it's because of work, you should allow yourself to get immersed in the culture of the country because it's a great way to help you understand the context better, and that will help you feel less ostracized. And when I realized that, I really started getting immersed into French. Music, radio, series, TV. I discovered a series that quickly became one of my favorites, and I have already watched it 3 times. Currently, I'm waiting for season 4 to drop. So my piece of advice here is to let yourself get immersed and fall in love with the culture and all it has to give to you.
And another reason is that on this island we had often a lot of...
Number 2, get to know your neighborhood and your surroundings. To be completely honest with you, I used to think that homesickness would never happen to me. But this is something that comes rather uninvited and unannounced. So I remember one time I was walking down the street in Paris, and suddenly the sight of all the Haussmann buildings that are so typical from the city overwhelmed me so much, up to the point where I just wanted to run away, and I felt this urge to take the first plane back to Mexico. It was rather confusing at the time because before that, I remembered that I already had envisioned all this cool stuff that I would do once I had arrived. This was so overwhelming that all I could do for the next couple days was stay in my room. But slowly, as the days passed, I got out of my cave and I tried to discover a bit more of my arrondissement. So it turns out that I had a museum, an aquarium, a pool, a volleyball court, and a lot of Asian food, which I'm particularly a fan of. And once I learned this, the last thing I wanted to do was stay at home. So, of course, the lesson here is to push yourself to go out. Even if you don't feel like it, discover new things because they won't just magically appear at your front door. And yes, maybe nowadays we do have the internet, which is a pretty awesome tool. But the truth is that some of these really cool places, you don't really get to hear from them until you coincidentally bump into them. So get out there, guys. Number 3, talk to friends and family. At this point, you might be wondering if talking to your friends or your family when you're going through a homesick process is beneficial or harmful. I used to think that sharing how I felt with my mom, with my best friend, it would make them look down upon me, especially since I had long awaited this experience to arrive. And also, there was the time difference in between. So I was constantly trying to think whether if it was too early or too late to ramble about complex things like my feelings. But the truth is that family and friends are a great source of support, especially when you're abroad and when you don't have them physically like near you. And also being able to speak and listen to your own mother tongue and getting those unique expressions that you can only get with your language really gets you into another level. That's like the real definition of hits different. And finally, we arrive to the last point. Number 4, make connections. So we talked about how preserving our roots and the connection with our home country is rather important. But also it is important to be open to this new culture that comes with the whole moving to another country narrative. And a great deal is actually the language. So yeah, in my case, prior to coming to France, I had already studied French. Probably it helped a lot that French had a lot of similarities with Spanish. Nonetheless, it still is a different language. Therefore, being a second language for me had me a bit cramped up in front of native speakers from time to time, especially since one of my goals had become to be fluent in French. And that, of course, included mingling and making acquaintances with French people. However, as you probably already know, and how I think it may be the case in the majority of situations, you know that locals tend up to be a bit more open with people they can communicate with in their own native language. So of course, this could be rather hard and discouraging for us foreigners that are new arrivals. And you know what? Actually, it is up to us. At the end of the day, it was me who had arrived to this new country. So I figured out that the least I could do was to either try and adapt to the environment instead of waiting for it to adapt and mold into me. So of course, making this little effort of learning the local expressions, the local language, is a great shortcut to getting included into the combos. Et voila, there you go. 4 steps that in my particular case helped me overcome my little episode of homesickness. And why being homesick is not a particularly enjoyable experience. The satisfying part is actually when you get to overcome it and you feel free to enjoy the mere and sheer satisfaction that it is to move to another country and proving yourself with new abilities. That's why I tell you that if you have the opportunity to go and live abroad, take it. And as the last piece of information, do you know what is one of the most spoken languages around the world? Yes, it is Spanish. Spanish can get you into a lot of countries. So whether it is your dream to go live into one of them or you have business with one of them, I suggest you start rolling your R's ASAP. For that, check out Spanish55.com, which is a great option to start or continue your Spanish speaking journey at your own pace. Unless if you don't have the opportunity to travel right now and you're wondering, man, where can I get this immersive experience that can help me master a second language? Think no more, because Spanish 55 native and qualified teachers can help you get this experience, like living in Barcelona, Cancun, Buenos Aires, or whatever your Spanish-speaking paradise may be. If you like this video, check out our channel for similar content. I'll be uploading new videos pretty soon, so if there's anything that you would like to know about traveling, languages, or my native language, Spanish, please do let me know. Okay, amigos, so I hope you liked this video. I hope it helped to get you a little bit more motivated into learning a second language to be ready and pack your bags for your next adventure. And without further ado, I hope you have a wonderful day and hasta la próxima.